we all have things that we are naturally good at. We've all got our talents, our gifts, our special something that we're just very good at that. But I do think that the older that we become, the more we don't see it. Bear with me. Bear with me on this one. Now, not many people know, but I did actually used to teach English as a second language to both primary and secondary school children. And I later on got involved in a project that was building strengths within children. And of course, we needed to identify what their strengths were. And there was a disparity. There was a disparity between the younger children, so the primary school children, and the secondary school children. Now, some of you may have children. Some may be primary, some may be secondary, and you should ask them. You should ask them when you're off this live. Ask them what their strengths are. And what became really apparent as I was working with the primary school children, they had no problem. No problem with that question. Very easy to answer. You asked them what their strengths were. It was like asking them their name or how old they were. It was a pretty straightforward question to answer. And then by the time that I moved on to the secondary school children, vastly different. So much insecurity suddenly creeps in. It's like we get to 12, 13 years old, that awkward puberty stage of life that we've all been through. It's like we get to that and we just forget everything. We forget everything that we were good at. We forget everything that we liked. We forget everything that we enjoyed. It's like we get hijacked. Hijacked by something. It's like life has, started to dim our light a little bit, and we forget what it is that we enjoy, what we love, and ultimately what we're good at. And when I was asking the secondary school students what their strengths were, they couldn't answer it. They just didn't know. There was so much uncertainty with the answer to that question. Now look, they might have been thinking something, they may have had something in their minds, but they definitely were not confident enough without a lot of coercion. They didn't have to pull it, like literally pull it out of them. There was a lot of coercion going on to just get them to answer. So it's amazing, right? What happens between, when you're like 7, 8 years old, and what happens by the time that you get into secondary school around, your early teens. It was just quite remarkable. I was a little bit taken back by it. It was so evident that, as we go through life, we really start to shut down. We really start to really forget. We forget who we are. We forget what we like. We forget what we love doing. We forget our strengths and all those dreams that we used to have. And by the time we get to adulthood, then guess what? We're well and truly out of that mode. And you should definitely ask, if you have children, you should definitely ask them and see what their response is. See if they know what their strengths are. But also think about it from your own perspective. If you're watching, give me a little like, leave me a thumbs up, say hello to me in comments, and it'd be great to know, what your strengths are. What do you think that you're good at? What are you naturally good at? And it takes a little bit of reflection. It can really be it seems like an easy question on the surface, right? Sounds like a very simple, straightforward question, but it can be very difficult. Given that I work with adults, given that I'm a coach, given that I am working with people to identify their strengths, I can tell you straight up that most people really, really struggle to identify and refine what they're good at. Now, isn't that curious? How can we, being us, every single day, every single waking and sleeping moment, we are us. How do we not know what we're good at? It's crazy, right? And look, me too. I'm not exempt from this. Look, I went through my own personal development and have worked with many coaches and mentors, and there has been, a process that has really pulled out what I'm good at and what my natural genius is and what it is that I want to go out there and create an impact in the world. But it took some work, and even this year, it was this year, I had a few people had maybe made some passing comments that, oh, you're quite good at hosting, you're quite good at facilitating. And I was like, oh, really? Okay, never really thought about that. And I just kind of dismissed it. Maybe they're just being kind. I don't know. I just kind of dismissed it like we do. You do it as well. I'm not the only one. And it was only when I did that recent webinar, which some of you may well have watched actually, with Kate Burton, the TV presenter. And it's only when I did that webinar, we jumped on a bit of a debrief call straight after the webinar. And she's like, oh, wow, Angie. And she gave me some really wonderful feedback. And I was like, what if she's saying the same thing and she thinks I've got, some hosting abilities, then maybe I should look at that and delve into it a little bit more. So I did. And last month, some of you may have seen that I hosted a live streamed event from a production studio. Oh, it was so exciting. I felt like I was like on TV, but I wasn't. I was just on Facebook live streaming, but to a much bigger audience than this, and with a lot more people around me and a crew around me, as I was hosting this event with a little bit of a mini celebrity here in Singapore. She's a little bit of a national treasure, who has done a lot of work within the entrepreneurial space. And it was a lot of fun. It was like a childhood dream come true, because I always wanted to be a TV presenter when I was younger. Yeah, what did you want to be? What is it that you wanted to be when you were younger? There's like the obligatory stuff, right? Like, oh, I want to be, boys have to want to be a fireman. That seems to be a little bit obligatory. I remember that when I was really, really, really young, before I really knew anything about how the world worked, I remember wanting to be a vet because I really loved animals. So these are they're quite obvious, right, for children to come out of these things. But as I was getting a little bit older, I was very curious about TV presenting. It was almost like I recognized something, an ability that I had without fully understanding it and knowing it. And I guess it just kind of fizzled out. I never did anything about it. I certainly didn't study anything to do with media, but I did work in TV, just not in front of the camera. And it was only later in life when I got these comments and I got this feedback. I was like, maybe I should pay attention to this. So my question to you is, what is it that people compliment you on? What is it that people tell you that you're good at that maybe you have also dismissed a little bit? Maybe you're feeling a little bit, shy about it. Maybe it's, hitting on a little bit of an insecurity. Maybe it feels a little bit uncomfortable to receive that compliment. But, if enough people tell you the same thing, maybe there's some truth in it. Now, doesn't it take somebody that's not us to be able to see things through a very objective and neutral lens? Like, they've got nothing to gain or lose from sharing this information with us most of the time, right? There's no advantage that they get from it. So if they're saying it, there must be something behind it. So maybe we should pay more attention to what other people tell us when it comes to, the positive traits that they see in us, because we can't always see it. We're a bit too close. There's that saying of not being able to see the wood from the trees. Well, maybe we can't see the wood from the trees because we're too close to us, but other people can see it. And whatever they can see, maybe they're right. Maybe that is something you're really awesome at. Maybe it's part of your genius. Maybe it's something that you should listen to. Maybe it's something that you should enhance and start to nurture, just like I did with this opportunity of being able to present a little mini show of 90 minutes from a studio on a live stream. And actually what came out of that, which I didn't really foresee, I just did it because it was fun and it sounded like a fun idea, that I actually got a paid engagement from it as well. So that's like super cool. I never thought that would happen. So the point here is, if you listen to other people and what they feed back to you as positive traits, we're talking about the positive things, right? And you actually take that in, take it on board, and actually follow that curiosity to see where it could lead, where would it go? What would the possibilities be? So I think my little tip for you today is start to pay attention of how other people see you and the positive traits that they are feeding back to you that they think you're very good at. Maybe they think you speak well. Maybe they think that you're really good at writing. Maybe they think that you're really fun to be around. Maybe they think that you're really good at bringing people together. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Just listen out for it. And whatever they say, resist the urge to dismiss it and just take it on board and see if actually you can start to pronounce that, because there'll be something in it and it will lead somewhere.